We interrupt this program to bring you something that's really awesome. Would you like to see a social media that features nothing but toons? Well, now you can with Cartoon AMINO, a utopia for all things animation like movies, TV shows, internet, and so much more. Here you will find all that the animation community has to offer, including the latest news, interesting theories, top lists, fun gifs, everything that the internet has in store with cartoons. Whoops! Okay, maybe not everything. But in case you want to venture into new territories, you could try many different AMINO flavors, including anime, video games, comics, and so much more. And the best part with Cartoon AMINO and what you see here is that it's all free! Except for the phone, you still have to pay for that. Cartoon AMINO, available for the iOS and Android. And now we bring you back to AniMat reviewing the movie that is not the Aristocats already in progress. Gay Purr-ee. Now let me just start by getting this out of the way. Yes, we all know about the comparisons this movie gets to Disney's The Aristocats. They're both animated films set in Paris with a little love story that features talking cats, and it's also a musical. However, considering that The Aristocats ended up being the more popular one because it's Disney, some would just easily point fingers and say that Gay Purr-ee is a blatant ripoff of The Aristocats. Well, for those who say that, they are actually wrong. In fact, where The Aristocats was released in 1970, Gay Purr-ee came out first by 8 years in 1962, back when even Walt Disney was alive. But now, getting back into Gay Purr-ee itself, will this present as much beauty as Paris itself, or is this something that an alley cat would drag in? Let's find out. The story. It's interesting to note how the script was written by animation legend Chuck Jones and his wife Dorothy, because this feels like it was meant to be some sort of animated short he wanted to do at Warner Brothers, but had to extend it in order to make it feature length. It does have an idea of a story where Musette wants a better life in Paris and Jean-Tom wants to go out and find her, but it's not enough to fully carry the film. Unfortunately, it ends up being surrounded by a big batch of filler. Rather it be the musical numbers, or the random montages, or even other stuff that keeps on happening. They feel like they drag the movie on and give the film a more slower pace.
Oh, thank you. I just know I'll be happy here.
Of course. But like any big city, Paris has its pitfalls.
I mean, if the movie handled Jones' script better to translate it into film, this would have came out as a great original piece. Something that would emphasize the love aspect of Paris and make a sweet romance film out of it. But after some careful thought, the real problem with the story is that it doesn't have a focus. It juggles with the many aspects of the film that it doesn't really know what the movie is truly about. Is this about Musette, her journey in Paris, Jean-Tom, his quest to find Musette, the songs, Paris itself? I don't know! The movie just has all these simple ideas and just rolls with it one by one. And because of its slow pace, it sometimes feels like they kind of forgot about a few other parts while they go with the one they're currently running with, and sometimes they don't even have a point. The story may look good on paper, but it seriously needs a lot more work on the execution. The animation. Although this was distributed by Warner Brothers and it has Chuck Jones prints all over the film, this was actually made by the United Productions of America, or UPA, home of notable cartoons such as Mr. Magoo and Gerald McBoing Boing. Now, if there's one thing that this studio is not recognized for, is having good quality animation, and it really shows in the character animation. Just by the way they move, this is purely cheap, limited animation. Their movements are so choppy that you'd expect this to be made for television. Heck, since Chuck Jones is involved with this, even his TV works are better animated than this. However, for the most part, that's the only aspect that's legitimately bad. The other elements in the visuals do a pretty good job. Yes, Jones is credited as one of the writers, but there is no hiding over the fact that he worked on the character designs. They all have that distinctive look that can feel like it can be in the same world as either the Looney Tunes or his adaptation of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But then there are the backgrounds, and this is where the animation truly shines. Sure, the movie itself is pretty slow, but it partly feels like it wants to be like that to show the artistry put in the scenery. Places like the farm in the opening and some of the areas in Paris are very reminiscent to European artists from the turn of the century. These include Van Gogh, Monet, Toulouse-Lautrec, and a few others. In fact, there was one scene where Meurice lectures about the artist during this period.
Don't be concerned when you see Auguste Renoir's portrait. Musette has not gotten fat.
Does it have a point to the film? Not really, but hey, at least you'll learn about who these artists are. There are a few elements that are rather cheap, but the animation does get some credit. The characters. A part of the reason why this movie feels rather slow is because the characters are not as appealing to hold the audience's intrigue. They're not really hateable per se, in fact they do have some likable traits in them, but they came out as more one-dimensional and are often rather generic. Starting off with Musette, her motivations might get mixed reactions. Sure, she wants to go on an adventure to have a better life in Paris, but the way she rejects her farm life may present her as a jerk to some. Depending on that, she can either be seen as an interesting character who wants more in life, or as a hateable drama queen. Jean-Tom is just the bland, determined lover who seeks out to be with Musette again, while his friend Robespierre is his little buddy that gives him motivation. And then there's Meurice, the villain and the best character of the film. He has this devious charm to him and some dark yet pretty creative ways in order to make a quick buck. He's absolutely untrustworthy, but he hides it so well to make you feel very welcome. He even has this fascinating relationship with his quote-unquote sister, Madame Rubens Chat, who was brought in to show Musette how to be a proper feline of Paris.
Henrietta, you are my sister. Sister?
Oh, yes, of course.
I will have to say though that the best aspect of this film is the voice acting. Despite working with a script that needs some fine-tuning, the actors managed to bring out the best with what they can work with, including Judy Garland, Robert Goulet, Red Buttons, Hermione Gingold, Paul Frees, Mel Blanc, and more. But even with some great acting, they don't necessarily bring out the most memorable characters. The songs. You'll probably be surprised to hear that when they brought in Judy Garland, she suggested that they should hire the same songwriters who also worked in The Wizard of Oz. Yep, these songs are provided by Harold Arlen and E.Y. Harburg. Now, with that said, the songs here are definitely No Somewhere Over the Rainbow. They're not bad songs, they're just easily forgettable. Most of the soundtrack consists of just love songs, that's it. These include Musette, Little Drops of Rain, The Horse Won't Talk, and Roses Red, Violets Blue.
Musette, Musette, you will say I'll chante once you've met my Purr-ee, Musette.
When you're in love, it's always true. The goddamn roses must be red and violets must be blue.
Let's smooch, smooch, smooch and kiss, kiss, kiss. No old gossip puss will know of this. Hello.
The mighty memories and the dreams of time.
Maybe the tempo of each are different, but since they're all love songs, they all say the same thing and it makes the movie feel repetitive. The Money Cat is the villain song that's supposed to present Meurice's evil motivations, but it feels too upbeat and jumpy to be dark and threatening as a villain song. It's like it has the same issues as the Headless Horseman song.
And teacher can't teach you when angels can't reach you. The Money Cat can.
But then there's Take My Hand, Purr-ee, and Paris is a Lonely Town. These are arguably the best songs in the film, considering how they both present the wonders and sorrows that Paris has to offer.
Take Take my heart to Mad Montmartre or buy me the Rivoli. Where's that shining flower 'neath the Eiffel Tower?
And then we have Bubbles. Out of all the songs here, this is probably the one that stands out the most, because it is a drunk song.
When life is bubbable, the whole world is lovable and durable and beautiful with bubbles.
Now, the songs will depend on the person if they'll enjoy it or not. If you like music that talks about nothing but love, then you might enjoy the soundtrack. If not, then the songs are just dull, repetitive, and you might not even remember them when the movie's done. Gay Purr-ee is a decent effort to bring out an enjoyable animated musical, but for something that came out of Chuck Jones, this is not his most notable work. The story is pretty original, but the pacing is slow and doesn't have a focus. The animation can look good, but it can also look cheap. The acting is brilliant, but the characters are just uninteresting. And where some songs are nice to listen to, others are easily forgettable. This is only a recommendation for someone who's more into romance. The more they adore love, the more they will enjoy this. If not, well, instead of being bored with this, there's always another animated musical with talking cats in Paris. In fact, you might find that this cat's not really the cat who knows where it's at, if you get my drift. Hey guys, this is AniMat's. I just want to start things off by giving a huge thanks to Kim Leachman for her amazing support on Patreon, which allowed her to get a lot of amazing rewards, including this review of Gay Purr-ee. But upon further research about this movie, I actually discovered something very interesting, that it actually has a significant purpose in the history of Chuck Jones. Now, listen up, this is actually pretty cool. Now, the thing with Gay Purr-ee is that when Chuck Jones was working on it, he was kind of doing it illegally, in a sense that he's pretty much breaking his contract with Warner Brothers. But then, when the company did discover this movie and they wanted to distribute it, they suddenly found out that Chuck Jones was working on it, and they were like, what the fridge, man? What are you doing here? And so they pretty much had a long chat about what to do with Chuck Jones since he kind of broke his contract, and they decided they had no choice but to pretty much fire Chuck along with his staff. And that would eventually lead on for Chuck Jones to actually open his own animation studio, where he would go and create works including his version of Tom and Jerry, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and also The Phantom Tollbooth. So, in a whole, Gay Purr-ee kind of serves as a segue for Chuck Jones to leave Warner Brothers. It's actually kind of interesting, and I hope you actually enjoyed that little tidbit of animation history. It's actually kind of cool. But anyways, now that Gay Purr-ee is over, it's time that we go and move on to the animation hat. And also, by the way, if you guys would like to be like Kim and you want to go and support my work and get some awesome rewards at the same time, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/animat. But also, if you guys would like to suggest to me an animated film you would like me to review and I would put into the animation hat, then all you have to do is write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. Alright, so now that that's over with, let's go and get the next one. It should be right about here. Come on. Ah, there we go. We got it! And the next review shall be... Alright. Oh my god, wow, we're picking some good ones, I gotta say. Oh, but now with this one, we're actually gonna get a bit real. Like, yeah, we got talking animals, But this time we're getting a bit more serious. We're not talking about cute little cats. This is pretty much the most foul creature that you have ever seen. The most hideous thing that you will ever see in your entire life, with sharp, pointy teeth.